Hi there, it's Mari, and hi, welcome back to High Frequency Living. I am very excited today to talk to you all about how your higher self is trying to get messages to you each and every day. In fact, your higher self is sending you about 100 messages a day, easily. And why I say that is because your higher self weighs in on every decision you make. So whether you should have, a papaya or a pineapple for breakfast in the morning, to what you should wear, to whether you should go to the gas station first or stop at the dry cleaners, your higher self is always working right alongside of you, parallel to your 3D side of yourself, right? So the whole point of high frequency living, it becomes high frequency when you actually combine both your energetic side and your physical side together, and they walk hand in hand. So today I wanted to talk to you about a concept that I actually have talked about in both of my books. I have a new book coming out called Beyond Intuition. I'll get into that a little bit later. But it's called the anatomy of the aha moment. And so, when we have these aha moments, we have these deja vus, we have the sense of knowing. I always say when we get an aha moment, it's like consciousness in the grand scheme of things and your physical mind connect. They have like this knowing feeling, right? And that's when you get those aha moments. But the problem is they seem haphazard. They don't really come on command. So it's not a conversational thing. It's kind of a if you get lucky thing, right? And so when people say, oh, you really should just trust your intuition, and you're going through troubling times, you're going through challenging times, and they say, oh, well, now you should trust your intuition. Well, your intuition isn't as developed as your mental mind because you don't really know how to use it fully in fluency like you would your mental mind. So all you can really kind of do is get these flashes. So your higher self is trying to say, hey, come over here, come hither, listen to me, listen to me. Here I am. And that's why you get those feelings. Now, let's talk about the 3 steps, because there's 3 specific steps that your higher self uses every single time it sends you a message. Step 1 is it sends every message to you first energetically. So you'll have one of the 4 clairs pop off. The 4 clairs would be your clairvoyance, and everybody has all 4 clairs, right? It's not like, oh, I have to have a special gift. You're born with all of this. You don't have to have some sort of special psychic gift. This is not psychic. This is frequency-based physiology. It's built in. It's meant to be used all day long, every day. It's there whether you know you're using it or not. So I might as well know how it works, right? So here's the mechanics. So first, your higher self is going to always send your messages through your 4 clairs first. So clairvoyance is your energetic sight. You might have a vision of something or get a flash of a picture. You might have a deja vu where you kind of say, oh, I've kind of seen that before. You might get clairaudience where you hear lyrics of a song, right? If you start hearing a song playing in your head, take a minute and listen in and even Google the lyrics and see what they're saying, because that's a really easy way that your higher self, and actually people who have passed over in spirit, who your loved ones in spirit, they love to send songs. It's a very easy way to get your attention and to get you more of a contextual, longer form message, because they can do that through the lyrics as opposed to just like a little sign here and it's like, well, what does that mean, right? So clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience is where you get that feeling in your gut. You say, oh, I knew in my gut, I felt this. And there, cognizance, claircognizance is knowing. So how do you it's like, I know, I just knew it. I just felt the sense of yes, without having to analyze it, without having to think about it. So that's your 4 clairs. Usually your higher self will use at least one. Sometimes it'll use more. Depends on how fluent you are, how, aware you are of those things, or how important the message is. Because if the message is really, really important, you'll start to see that it's like it's coming through with probably all 4 clairs, or at least 3 of the 4. So it's always energetic first. That's step 1. Step 2 is your physical body. So as soon as you get an energetic message, your physical body is wired to respond to the energetic message. So you hear, you get a feeling about something, and then you get goosebumps or truth bumps, right? Or you get a feeling, you walk into a room and you get a feeling about something and your stomach drops. Like, oh, what was that? Or, oh, the energy's off. Or, oh, or you get a feeling of lightness, like, oh, that feels better. There's something I'm feeling here. You feel that lift, okay? So your body will tell you. Sometimes you'll get a chill. Sometimes you might get a little bit of nausea, right? But your body will physically say, uh-oh, we got a message. Message is in. Okay, now, from there, your higher self will then use your environment to reinforce the message that it sent. Okay, so the aha moment is the intuition part of the energetic communication system. Intuition is really just the ringtone, is equivalent to the ringtone on your phone, right? It's not the full contextual message. Step one, like I said, is 4 clairs. It goes energetically, says energetics first. Step 2 is your body responds always 100% of the time. It says, oh, something's in, I have to pay attention. Step 3 is your higher self will go out into your environment and provide you with signs, symbols, and synchronicities. Synchronicities being like what you say is coinkydink or coincidences, right? But they're really synchronistic um, situations or happenings, if you will, right? So they're synchronized to go with the knowing that you're feeling, and then so it kind of comes in as proof. So that'll raise your awareness so that you'll open your mind and you'll open your conscious mind and say, oh, there's something here. So it'll give you signs, symbols, and synchronicities, and messengers. Okay, so a sign might be, I know, like whenever I'm worried about something, if I see the army, my dad was in the army, he was a colonel, and he was in the army for 21 years and did tours of Vietnam, Korea, and all that. And so when dad is around, if I see an army sign, I know that's my sign. Now, some people, they'll see blue butterflies, some people they'll see roses, some people, they'll see a red cardinal. You get your alphabet of signs with your higher self as you start to embark on your fluency journey to being fluent in the language of your higher self, so that you can have these two-way contextual conversations with your higher self. We always start off with the anatomy of the aha moment because it's the most familiar, right? It's something that you've been living with and not necessarily articulating in this structural way, but you can kind of probably relate to the various pieces of what I'm talking about. Now, once you start to see these patterns, so you have step 1, which is the energetic senses are always contacted first. Step 2 is your biology response, right? See how the energy and the physicality are working together. That's that synchronization of frequency and physicality. That's the integration of high frequency living. That's, okay. Because we want to turn those high frequency engines on. That's when the magic starts to happen. That's when you start to be able to reach into the unknown and get those unusual solutions to things, those what seems to be like, your personal miracles. That's how that happens. And it'll start to become more happenstance instead of like this big, like overarching, major miracle thing. It'll start to feel much more in sync. And that's how life was really meant to be. So once your higher self does signs and symbols and synchronicities, it will often send you a messenger who can give you more of a full contextual conversational message, right? If you don't know how to channel yourself, right? How to personally channel your higher self so you can get that full downloaded message where you can pull out your notebook and write it down. And this absolutely is doable. And in fact, we're all born with that ability. That's what I teach in my academy. That's it's a big skill set that you want to master, especially in these times. But if you can't do that, or even if you can, if your higher self is trying to get a message to you, it will send you a messenger. It'll send something. It'll send a TikTok, or it'll send some sort of thing real on Instagram. Maybe it sends you, social media is a great place for your higher self to send messengers because there's just every single kind of category out there. But it may be that you're you walk into a elevator and you hear a specific song. And you're like, oh, there's something, that's something. Or somebody, you just overhear a conversation. I've had it where, and I've had plenty of clients say this too, where somebody just walks up to them and starts talking to them about something that was been really heavy on their mind, right? So those are the 4 steps, the 3 steps, and the messenger part is kind of an overlay. And once you get awareness of this, it starts to speed up, right? Your higher self is like, oh, thank God she knows the steps. He knows the steps. They know the steps. Okay. And now the more you notice, the more you get, right? Because like, oh, now we can have a communication. Not knowing this is like running a submarine with no periscope, right? It's really dark down under the sea. Without that periscope, without that radar, without that sonar, without that two-way radio messaging, it can be treacherous, right? It's a lot longer day, right? Without that, a lot of hunting and pecking. So I wanted to just help you to see that structure. Okay. And as you go forward now, today, just take this, as a nice tip. Today, what you want to do is you want to just start to observe your world a little differently. Instead of immediately trying to analyze something, instead of saying, I think this, or what do I think about this? The question to invite these aha moments, to invite this connection, this deeper connection with your higher self, is how do I feel about that? What do I sense about that? Okay, as opposed to, instead of saying, and like, what do I sense? You want to get into that feeling more, that energetic feeling. You could also say, like I always tell my clients, instead of saying that makes sense, you want to start to step deeper into yourself and say, that feels on point. That resonates. Okay. When you start talking about resonance, when you start talking about feeling, now you're getting into frequency. And the more you just do these basic small things, you start to get on that frequency line. And then when you start talking timelines and quantum jumping and all these other things that people are talking about, now you're in the zone where you can work within deeper levels of consciousness, deeper levels of connection, accessing your infinite field of possibilities with the narration of your higher self. Right? So in my next video, I'm going to talk about the difference between your higher self and your spirit guides. They're 2 different things. So your spirit guide is a team, and we'll talk about the different realms of guidance that are available to you and that are probably with you, and what's definitely with you, and then what you can pick and choose from as needed. But your higher self is the portion of you that is navigating the portion that's in your body. It's the rest of you that's outside of the body being your navigation system. So it's part of you. That's when they talk about oneness, the part that's within you and the part that's around you. It's just a little piece of you, of the bigger ball of energy of you, decides it's going to take on a physical body card to have a physical life. So it drops a piece of itself into the body cards, the driver, right? That's what makes up your mental mind. That's what makes up your animating factor of your body, right? Is the driver. The navigation system is the higher self. The embodied self is the driver. Okay, so what we want to do is rediscover that we have that navigation system and actually learn the mechanics of how it works. And once you know the mechanics in your mental mind, then you can step back into your feeling space within your heart, within yourself, that feeling sensing portion of you. And then when you combine the two, what will happen is you're going to feel your way through to the answers that you need, or to the guidance that you need. And then you're going to use your intellect, your analytical abilities, and all of that smartness you have to operationalize the inspired action that your higher self says to take, right? Absolute game changer. If you want, quote, speed, you want much more accurate manifesting, you want a sense of connectedness without all the burnout and with all the heaviness, this is what we have to start really, really getting you not only used to, but leaning into. And remember that when you do this, and you practice this, eventually what's going to happen is when you hit up against something in your life or you start to contemplate something, you're going to instead of saying, I got to think this out, I've got to figure this out, you're going to start to say, well, let me check in with my higher self first, get my guidance, and then I'll know. I'll get my knowing about it, and then I'll take the steps. And when you do that, the amount of things you have to do and the time it takes shrinks dramatically because your higher self is always extremely efficient, way more efficient than your mental mind. Your mental mind is always like, oh, let me cover my bases and let me do, let me just do everything and then just hope for the best and plan for the worst. And it creates so much work. So it's really a good idea to invest some time and energy into sorting this out and starting to feel through your day. And remember, 3 steps: 4 clairs first, the energy first, your body second, your environment third, with signs, symbols, synchronicities, and messengers. So if you liked this video, I would really appreciate it if you liked, follow, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day.